since we've got our three presenters here, and as I mentioned, for those of you who are already on, we do have a hard stop today at 10:45 as we're hosting a prospective nursing faculty. And so we're going to go ahead and launch into it. We've done a little bit of introductions of the alumni who are on the call. Just one housekeeping item, we do record these calls so that we can include them in our Coffee Chat archive. We have quite a few people who like to view them. They're not able to join, for whatever reason at 10 a.m. in the day, but they like to watch them, and we'll send the link out so that people can engage in that way. And so we'll start today by allowing our presenters to introduce themselves quickly, and then we'll sort of launch into some questions. Of course, at the end, if we have time, I know you all probably have ideas and questions that you've got your own curiosities that you brought with you today. And so we'll allow some time for questions at the end. But this is conversational, so if there's something that you need clarity on, or please just feel free to jump in. But let's start. I'm going to let President Liz, Dr. Liz Frombgen, introduce herself, then Stephannie, DeLong, and then Adrienne.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone. I'll be brief. I am excited every single day. I'm proud every single day to be the 20th president of our little college. And next Friday will be the two-year anniversary. I began work as your president July 1st, 2022. And I think, as we all know, it's been quite a ride. An amazing ride, a crazy ride, a wonderful ride, but we are grateful every day. My husband, the first dude, is happy every single day to be the first dude of Southwestern College, and I might say he's doing a fantastic job. So, but I will just end with that and let Adrienne and Stephannie introduce themselves, and then we can just start talking.
Thanks. Stephannie?
Thanks, Liz. Hey, everyone. I'm Stephannie DeLong, Vice President for Enrollment Management. I'm a two-time alum, proud alum of Southwestern College, and I will be celebrating my 15th year with the college next month. So just really glad to be here with you all this morning and share what's going on at the top of the hill.
And Stephannie, you might add, you've been in the admissions office for quite some time before that financial aid.
Financial aid, yeah.
As VP for Enrollment Management, is this
almost a year? Yeah. Almost
a
year. Financial aid, admissions, and now this for almost a year. So.
Great. And Adrienne.
Good morning. My name is Adrienne Wyatt, and I am the Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs. And this month I have been here 3 years. My background is mostly registrar's office, and I have been in higher ed for over 25 years now.
Yeah, Adrienne's a superstar. We'll learn more about that as we go here. So I'm going to let Liz sort of kick us off by just giving us sort of a broad update about where we are, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into some numbers with Stephannie. But go ahead, Liz.
Sure. So again, I'll try to be brief because you want to hear details, I'm sure. But as I go out, and I have been off campus seeing people a lot, particularly for the last 6 months, since really January. Been out and about. I've gotten to meet a whole bunch more people, talk a lot about the college and where we're going and what we're doing and all those things. And so this will be kind of a high level, kind of general update. But what I really want you to hear, and you'll get to hear it in the details, is that your college is on the move. I mean, we could tell you all the things we have done in 2 years. It is incredible, in fact, because of these people that I get to work with every single day. On the move, we are at the very end of our fiscal year. We run, like most colleges, a fiscal year from July 1st to June 30th. So we are in the final throes, and we have moved the college in 2 years to a much more sustainable place. We have a long way to go still, but I want you to be proud of that because it's been hard fought, as you can imagine. And it is every single day. These people, our students, all of you, I'm looking, I can see Roxy and Kathy, who are next to each other on my screen, which makes sense, are next to each other on my screen, who are at everything and do everything for us. And it really has taken this community, and in all the ways, both the campus community, alumni, our students, but also the Winfield community. So we are on the move fast and furiously to move ourselves to a much more sustainable place for our college. We have a very bold strategic plan that charts our path to 2028, which is my view of strategic plans is that they are guides, not straitjackets. So they're intended to give us a path, to give us direction, to help us move forward so we can make the progress we need to make, but also stay open to opportunities that make sense for us to consider and to do. But in some ways, most excitingly, I think many of you know that we are working toward bringing back a Bachelor of Science in Nursing program to campus. I am very happy to announce just last week, our program's initial application with the State Board of Nursing has received approval. It's the first major hurdle, and we have a site visit that will be scheduled sometime. I think it'll be late summer, early fall, and we are on track. Fingers crossed, of course, knock on wood, pray, whatever the thing is, the energy you can bring to it, that we will have approval to then launch the nursing program in fall 2025. That's the plan. We are in the provisional pathway for accreditation to bring to campus a Master's of Science in Physician Assistant Studies. As we move our college forward with fewer 18-year-olds in the world and in our part of the country, we are diversifying our student body in all the ways. And so those are two big examples of where we're moving, what we're doing, but we are on the move. And while we are still at the very end of this fiscal year, if we can hit our goals, we will meet the ratios that we need to meet to move our college into some different positions with regard, particularly with the federal government. So we've gotten ourselves out from under some of the monitoring we were under, and we still have some more work to do. But we are on the move and in the right direction. So I will stop there so that way we can ask other questions. But if someone has a question, I'm certainly happy to try to answer it. Okay, Katie, I'll hand it back to you for the moment. And then, of course, we'll keep talking. Okay, you're muted, Katie.
My first question is really to Stephannie. And Stephannie, I'd like you to just talk a bit about the kinds of students, maybe preview this incoming class, and talk a bit about where you feel like, what your sense is about where we are for enrollment for this upcoming year, and sort of what's the trajectory and what change you've seen in our student population.
Sure. I am so excited about this class. I want to start by talking about a couple of our full tuition winners this year. So every year we host full tuition scholarship competitions for our incoming freshmen and then also our transfers. So we have the Pillars competition, which we've moved to the fall semester, and that is in line with our strategic plan. We know that those high academic achieving students are looking to finalize their college decision in the fall of their senior year. And so this year we hosted a great group of students for the Pillar Scholarship Competition. And one of those students is actually a performing arts student. So he's going to be participating in band and leadership. And he also comes to us from the Kansas Hispanic Education and Development Foundation. So it's a great program here in Kansas that helps students find their college, but actually works with them throughout their college experience. I'll let Adrienne talk a little bit about the backside of that here in just a minute, but that's just one of our students that's coming. We also have another student coming for Pillars, or Mound Builder Spirit, sorry, and she is planning to participate in choir and leadership as well. So the thing that I would highlight about our class this year is these kids are involved in all the things. We found some really awesome builders this year, students who are doing multiple things, students who are interested in pre-nursing. So we have about 13 incoming freshmen who are registered for pre-nursing so far. Construction management has just been an amazing new program for us. It's a great partnership with Cali College. So again, working with our area partners and bringing a program forward that really speaks to the needs of our community and our region. And then the other thing that I would love to highlight is just how proud I am of the work that Simon, Terry, and Jeremy, our performing arts directors, have done in re-engaging our communities. They are in the local and regional high schools all the time. In fact, Simon signed 3 choir girls or choir students out of Wellington alone this year. So we're bringing in just an excellent group of students, really excited about what they're interested in and what they're doing, and a great group of education students as well. So we have over 20 students in the freshman class alone registered in education. Liz and I recently got the opportunity to go, and she signed the agreement for Educate the State. And so we know how important it is to make sure that we are filling those teachers that are retiring and that are moving on. And we know that we have, one of the best education programs. We've got great relationships with Arc City High School, Winfield High School, Oxford High School. And so just continuing to grow those things. And we're really excited about this fall.
Yeah, I've interacted with students who've been on campus for visits and such. It's exciting. And in fact, my cousin's daughter is coming, and so I'll have family in this class, and I'm excited to watch her and celebrate all the things she's going to be, because she's one of those very active. She's going to be a great builder, and so it's exciting. But also maybe dive a bit into sort of our enrollment goals and where we're at, and that, maybe you can talk a bit about how the sort of the enrollment funnel works and how we even acquire leads and move people through that process. Just broad strokes.
Yeah. So Liz kind of talked a little bit about, the changing demographics, and those of us who are in higher ed are well aware of the demographic cliff. We know there are going to be fewer 18-year-olds here in the next few years. We've known that for a long time. And one of the first things that I have done is to realign our name purchases. So we purchase student information with the areas that are growing and with our strategic initiatives. So things like PA, health science, pre-nursing. And so we are looking for those students at the very top of the funnel, the name buys that fit those demographics. And then from there, we have mailing, email, phone, text campaigns that we do to get students from that, they don't know about us, but we know about them, to inquired. And then from there, work to get them to apply, get admitted, and then ultimately enroll. Our enrollment goals for this year are 220 freshmen and 45 transfers. As of this morning, we're at 210 freshmen and a little over halfway to our transfer goal. So we're moving. I see a hand up.
Yeah, it looks like Hal Reed may have a question.
Yeah, it is. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Because I've not used this particular app, I don't think, before. I just wanted to go back to Stephannie on something, or whomever wants to answer this. You talk about the Pillar scholarships. I know I've heard of them, but could you very briefly explain what those are? Because I don't know if everybody does know what they are.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. So the Pillars Scholarship is really related to high academic achieving students. Students have to have a 3.5 GPA or a 25 or higher ACT. It's a full tuition scholarship for all 4 years. We invite qualified applicants to apply for it. If they're chosen to come to campus and compete, they participate in a 15-minute interview with 2 faculty or staff members, and then a 50-minute essay. Those essays and interviews are scored on a rubric, and then that's how the winners of that are determined. The Mound Builder Spirit scholarship competition is really geared towards just that great builder. They may be a student who would be a great fit for leadership or discipleship, or somebody who's just very involved in their community, in their school, and but the process for that is the same. They apply, they come and they compete. And what I really love about that is, at both of those competitions, students see people like themselves, and it gives them a chance to say, okay, this is where I belong, and see, kind of what their future can look like.
Yeah. And as somebody who's helped with those 15-minute interviews, I think since the beginning of the full tuition scholarship, I look forward to that, meeting with the students who are, I think usually for a session, we meet with 5 students maybe, and they're incredible young people, and they, of course, we're asking them questions and trying to engage them and to learn about them a bit, but also we always give them time to ask us questions at the end, and it's so interesting to see sort of where their minds are at and what they're interested in learning about, and how they see themselves fitting at Southwestern. So, and I a high percentage of the students who participate, even though they don't receive the full tuition scholarship, do end up coming to Southwestern. So it's a really high level of engagement, and it's honestly, from my perspective, it's pretty fun. And also, you guys get to do big celebration when you go award the students, and so it's exciting. It's a very exciting time for the college. So
yeah, very much so.
I think
Thank
Dean
you
had
very
a
much.
question. Yeah.
Is it my turn?
sure, Dean, yeah, go ahead.
What's the draw? You know, I was at Loyola for 26 years. Academic is one thing, but what is that other thing that's going to draw them into the school? I mean, at Loyola, you know, we had the music, we had the art, we had drama, we had it all. And the kids that we were getting there, I mean, the students that we received were all smart, but they wanted something just a little bit different, that little niche to get them in. And I don't hear that here. All I hear is high grade point average.
Yeah,
Well, Stephannie,
that's a great. Yeah. Sorry, Katie.
yeah, go ahead and
Yeah,
respond.
that's a great question. I think we're a little bit different. We engage with students in a way that I don't think anyone else does. We talk a lot about builder family, and the most important thing that we do is meet students where they are and get them to where they're headed next. I like to tell our team all the time, you know, the most important thing that we do is not to bring in the incoming class, it's to see them graduate in 4 years. And we really have the ability to get to know them on an individual basis, you know, help them with what their goals are, what their dreams are. But we really are a big family. And I think that's really highlighted on campus. If you come to any kind of event on campus, you'll see, you know, our entire baseball team at a men's basketball game will be sitting there, kind of almost dominating the visitor section a little bit. And we filled our pack for Winterfest last year. I think our big hook really is we get students on campus and they see a part of themselves there, and we help identify the people that they need to be connected to in order to be a successful builder.
How does that work with the athletics? I mean, now with the new rulings that these kids, you can bring a person in for 1 year and they can go off and get picked up by another
Talking about
school.
the transfer portal, Dean.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, sure. Stephannie, would you talk about that a little bit and what we've
Yeah,
seen? Any trends
sure.
related to athletics?
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of that. We're not a school that students come for a year and then leave and go somewhere else. We're in the KCAC athletic conference, and so once a student signs a letter of intent with us or with any other KCAC, you know, they can't go to another KCAC school within that year or the next year. They sit out, and I really think we do very well with the student part of student athlete. We engage with them not just in basketball or flag football or track, but really in where they're headed. And I think that's just a cultural thing. Maybe Liz and Adrienne, if they have anything to add to that, but we really don't see a lot of that. We have had a few grad student athletes in the past couple of years, which has been new to us.
Yeah, anything to add, Liz or Adrienne, on that front?
All I can say is that with the music and the drama and the art, it doesn't seem like those folks fall by the wayside. And when you're talking about a bunch of athletics, and by the way, at Loyola, I was very instrumental in making sure that they did not bring in football again. In other words, they were giving the scholarships to those folks that excelled musically, art, other ways, and stayed away from the athletic part of it.
Right.
And the students were great.
And I think maybe Liz, to talk a bit about sort of our desire to move our as we're looking at our student demographics. There are a couple of areas that we are very focused on, sort of moving our student population, and maybe Liz, talking a bit about the student athlete population and also our need to recruit more women
Right.
and
Yep.
sort of our plan related to those pieces.
Sure. Yeah. So Katie's right. At the at the very strategic level, the college's sustainability over the next several years really involves, and I mean, it's a lot of things, of course, but specifically, your college has over the last several years, part of it's in Kansas, part of it's being part of the KCAC. We are about 90% student athletes right now. That's a reality really for every KCAC school, every independent college in Kansas. That's our reality. We have plans over the next 5 years to move from 90% to about 75%. I don't see us, I mean, as a college, I don't see any college in Kansas like us really moving down to 50%. I mean, part of it is for some of you went to college before Title IX, and so there really weren't women's athletics as a thing. Now, of course, there is. And so you would have had a very different college experience if you went to college pre-Title IX than post-Title IX. But we are moving to move from 90% to 75%. That will be hard. That will be hard. I mean, I just want to be, those of you who know me, and I'm looking again, I can see the two, Kathy and Roxy in particular, be really truthful. That will be hard for us.
So,
But
some early initiatives include
Yes.
the honors program,
correct.
Current of Nursing.
Yep.
These are programs that will attract students who are less likely to be
Right. Yeah. And there are, to get back to your question, Dean, other kind of hooks for them. So, but that's a work in progress, to be clear. The other piece of it is that our student body over the last several years has also moved to be over 60% young men who we love. And I say that every single time because I never want anyone to think I don't love our young men. We love our young men. There's no doubt about that. They are wonderful, delightful human beings who are going to become amazing young men that they should be in the world. But we also need to try to move our student body to be more balanced between men and women. And so the early initiatives we already have are really about that. So, so bringing nursing back, PA program, to try to sort of flip that demographic a bit. They're works in progress. Those are two really hard things because the college has been moved in certain areas. So now we're trying to move it back, if that makes sense. But to answer your question, Dean, athletics will always be a draw for us. There's really no question about that. But our job is to try to balance those interests, to find lots of ways for our students to be connected. Because at the end of the day, I think if nothing else, we as a small private liberal arts institution, it is about experiential learning across the board, in the classroom, out of the classroom. And we know, as kind of like a little laboratory, we know as we create citizens in the world. So much of that happens because of the work that they do in all the ways on their college campus, and that ways that they get to lead and they get to make some decisions to move things forward, whatever they are. And we let them do that. And that's sometimes hard to let them do it, but we do let them do it. But to see them then at commencement when they are ready for the world is really remarkable. So that work is pretty remarkable. So
I guess what I was asking, and I still haven't got a clear answer, the draw for the women isn't necessarily going to be sports or Title IX. It's going to be, they all, bright kids all have extracurricular activities.
Mhm.
And those activities usually go into music, art, drama. And these are places that used to be at Southwestern that were strong. And when you brought the students in, they stayed. And that's all I'm trying to say.
And I
Musically
think
talented and bright students go hand in hand.
that's true, Dean. And I think we are trying to build strength in all of our performing arts programs. So, I mean, Stephannie was mentioning Simon has had great success this year recruiting brilliant young people who are going to populate our choir next year, and I'm excited to see them perform. And in fact, didn't you tell me, Stephannie, that one of the full tuition scholarship winners, when you went to present, they were in choir and the choir sang for the, I mean,
It was beautiful.
We're doing the right things to sort of there's a bit of a rebound that's happening in those programs. And so the uptake is good, progress is being made. And yes, I do think that it's true to assume that the students who are going to want to participate in some of those performing arts programs are going to be some of the more academically inclined. And so I know that that's certainly a focus for Stephannie. And even as we are thinking of the whole student, Adrienne, and how we engage those students and keep them here. And so as we're thinking, I want to sort of transition this conversation just to keep us moving, to talk a bit about retention efforts on campus. And Adrienne, I know we've moved a lot of initiatives forward that are best practices. And so I'm hoping you might talk a bit about those, and maybe start with our first year experience, or we call it FYE on campus. What does that look like for students?
Yes. So FYE, it begins way before they get here. So we have a program that we started last year, and it's called SOAR, and that's summer orientation and registration. So basically, when the students step on campus in August, they come in July 1st and they are prepared. They've already finished their financial aid. They know what their bill is going to look like. And their families are here with them. So all the questions that they have, we make sure they get a schedule. And so when they step on campus in August, they are prepared. And last year was the first time that we did it. And when it was time to move in, all of those students were able to check in and then go straight and get their key and move in. We've already answered all the questions that their parents, their families have. And it went so smooth last year. And so last year we only did it one day in June or July. This year we've already done one in June, and we're going to do another one in July. And so
you had like 60 students at the first one, right? 65?
Well, the first one we had 54. And then this one, they're still signing up, but we already have 40-some students already signed up. Yeah. Yep. And so then they transition, and when we get them here, we have a class that all the freshmen take, which is called First Year Experience, and we call it FYE for short. And they learn all the things about our college. They are very prepared. We make sure that all of their questions are answered. We help them with their career services steps in, and we give them an assessment about their major. They talk to the librarian, they talk to financial aid, they talk to housing, like all the things. They have a scavenger hunt that they do, so they can make sure they know where everybody's office is. But yes, those are
the format of that. So the first year cohort is broken up into smaller groups, and then we have faculty and staff who serve as first year.
So we have 8 different sections.
Yeah, so there's eight groups of, and so then they meet every Friday, right?
Every Friday at 11.
And so every Friday at 11, they have some various so there's sort of a check-in point to see how they're doing, what questions they have, but then there's some topic that they're going to learn about. So like even last year, I know I provided some information. They did a session on like use of social media and how to manage how you're presenting yourself to the world and what that looks like. And so there's lots of topics in those sessions that they have throughout the semester. And it really is a best practice. And we've seen good results from it. It's been really helpful for our first year students to get them sort of situated. And as we think about retention, making sure that first year cohort is cared for and they don't feel lost. And so this is such a great, from my purview, from where I sit over in this office, I can see that it's working. So it's really exciting.
Yeah. And another thing that we did last year was we got all the student services office together, and we meet every week, once a week on Mondays, and we talk about all the students. Like we make sure that if somebody looks lost, acts lost, send us an email, or we need to see them, we make sure we are taking care of each student. Yes, Roxy?
I'm often concerned about the times when the college is not open. There are students who live too far away to go home for that particular time frame. and students who don't own cars, which I think is admirable, who
Mhm.
don't have rides to and from the airport.
Mhm.
I'm very concerned about those things because personally, that would very much affect my retention were I a student here. I know there are faculty people who try to take up the slack for this. I don't think that should have to be the case. I think it's fine if they want to, but I don't think the school should be depending on other staff members and faculty members to take up the slack there. So I'm wondering if you've got plans in that direction to help those not be problems for current students.
Yeah, so when we get ready to take a break, it could be Christmas break, it could be spring break, whatever the break is, we send an email out to the students and they get to sign up to stay on campus. And that's just not just staying on campus. We are making sure they eat. We're making sure that
That
they,
hasn't always happened. That's not my experience.
oh, since I've been here for 3 years, it has happened. The 3 years I've
Nope.
been here.
Sorry.
We send out an
I-
email every time.
Well, you send out an email and you tell the kids we're going to be closed.
No,
But
they
there's
get to
not a
sign
way-
up to stay here.
Yeah.
That's
We take kids back and forth to the airport, pick them up, bus station.
good. That's
Yeah.
excellent.
It-
But food bothers me because
Mhm.
I
Yep.
know that's still a problem.
Okay. Roxy, I think if you could have a conversation with me or with Adrienne offline about any particular case, that would be helpful to know where it is still happening, because it sounds like it's like even since we've implemented this, it's maybe still happening, or you're hearing it's happening. So I'd like to try to sort that out and make sure we can cover that. So
Okey-dokey.
just, yeah,
All
that would
right.
be helpful, I think, so we would have a good sense of where that thing is and we can address it for you.
I see we
Okay.
have a question from Steve. Go ahead, Steve. Oh, I think you may be muted still.
Who was that for?
Steve Rankin had a question. Oh, and Steve, we can't hear you.
Yeah, Steve, we can't hear you. Can you hear us?
There, sorry. So I'm sure some of this is my ignorance, but I have sort of questions going two ways. You can answer either one. What is Southwestern doing in terms of communications as a major? You know, is it computer science? I'm just thinking about all the digital media and the move of journalism, for example, to various kinds of formats. You know, I'm on Substack a lot. I mean, I'm reading on Substack a lot. Some things like that. I'm curious if Southwestern has found a way to kind of get on that trend a little bit. And then my other question is has to do with, surprise, surprise, religious life. And I would just say, you know, typically students, they lead with a major or something else about college, but a lot of the surveys I've looked at is that they're sort of assuming when they go to a private religiously affiliated school that they're going to have a spiritually rich experience. It may not be what they talk about, but it turns out to be important to them. And I'm curious how that fits, that fact fits in with some of the recruiting retention efforts.
Stephannie, you want to field that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the, I guess I wouldn't call it good, but one good thing to come out of COVID was a change in the way that we do chapel. Chapel is now outside in the Grove in the fall semester, which has just been amazing. You know, you can see it all across campus. People who
You can hear it all across
You
campus.
can hear it all across campus. And we've actually started having some recruitment events related to and around chapel. I love that the students, the faculty, the staff that participate get to be there and share in that growth. And that we put it right in the middle of our college campus every Wednesday at 11, weather permitting. So it's been a really amazing thing.
Yeah. And maybe talk a bit about So regarding your question about communications and sort of this transition to what we call it on campus is convergent journalism, and really Stacy Sparks, before she retired, she was pretty, she did a lot of that work to sort of transition the communication students into this idea of convergent digital journalism and media. So that program is sort of framed around that idea, so, or concept. So does that help? Yeah, and I would just echo stuff. Chapel has been an excellent, Chapel has been, it has grown. I think students find a space there that's protected and that they can engage in. It's not a requirement. I know for a lot of our alumni, Chapel was required. It's not that, but it is well attended. And I would say also our Chapel outreach team and our discipleship team, and just I think through sort of the affect of our campus community, we've been really lucky to have good folks around who can help students as they're considering their spiritual development and sort of the whole person. So certainly a point of pride, I think, for the college. And Liz was just attended the Great Plains conference. I know she bumped into you up there, right, Steve? You attended our gathering, which was awesome. So so that's important to the college. And we are actively trying to recruit a campus minister. So if you have folks, we're working to fill that position. We were lucky to have Rodney Worsham last year in an interim role, but
yeah, I think Jim has a question. So
yeah, just tell me a little bit about this Richard Clark that's coming through the discipleship. Didn't I see that visiting scholar? Is there anything you can say about that? Because that interests me.
I actually haven't met him yet, but what I hear is that he is going to teach for us, as they often do. It sort of depends on what the visiting scholar ultimately wants to do career-wise, kind of what role we put them in on campus. I believe he wants to go the academic route, so but we are excited. We did not have one this past year, and so we're excited to bring that position back, only because IFD didn't find someone that they wanted. So we didn't do it. Yeah. But I think he's going to be a great fit. I think we're really excited for him to join us, and we get him for 2 years, so we'll kind of see, does it shift over time, where we can put him and what helps him. So
his resume looks pretty good, and I'm pleased to see that. The other thing I want to say real quickly, because I know you've got to, I live in Manhattan, and we are experiencing a whole new world. You guys are talking about the stuff with student athletes. Southwestern has student athletes. We at K-State, we no longer have student athletes. We have professional athletes who are occasionally going to class. And, I'm really frustrated with NIL and the whole thing. So right now, with the activity base that is at Southwestern, I think that's wonderful. Yeah, keep it going, but make sure the academic gets done. That's enough.
Yeah.
I have too much to say.
Well, it is an interesting time, and honestly, I recently had a conversation with our head football coach just about sort of the trickle-down effect of NIL and the transfer portal. And maybe we should have a coffee chat with him, because it is having an impact on our student population, but not in the same way. And truly, the student athletes that we recruit, you're right, Jim, they are students first. The majority of them do not think that they're going to go on and play professionally. For them, this is a co-curricular experience, and our job is to help transition them from this idea that their identity is all around football or basketball or whatever that sport may be, into who am I as a person and what can I do in the world that is unrelated to their sport. And I think we do a pretty good job of that through mentorship and our faculty and people like Adrienne, who really have their arms around each and every student because that transition in your identity is hard. If you're only known for being a football player and suddenly you decide, well, I want to be a teacher. So you're letting go of something to pick something else up. So it's helping young people do that is a job. It can be a little messy.
Katie,
Yes.
has the issue of sports coaches having specific times for practice so that people like the choir man, the band man, and the theater director can help these kids get exactly what you're talking about by being able to participate in those areas as well, because that has not happened yet, at least in one area that I know about.
Sure. I think there's certainly work to be done. And as you know, I mean, again, we're talking about a rebound. And so I know that the folks in performing arts and the folk, Matt O'Brien, who's our AD, he wants student athletes to have, I mean, as a successful basketball coach, he knows that when they're engaged in all kinds of ways, it breeds success for them and personally and for his team. And so I think that is certainly something that has been a part of the conversation. A lot of meetings I've been in, we've talked about how we can help create those transition points that make sense for our students, so that it's not a barrier to the participation. But there's a lot of work to be done. It's not, there's no solution, there's no silver bullet. So it's a lot of relationship building between programs to make that work, I think.
When I started at Loyola in 1980, I had an orchestra of seven total. The orchestra in after I was gone, it was a 75-piece orchestra. Many of these students didn't major in music. They came in with music and pre-law, music and pre-med, music and business, and all of that. But the music part was the wedge. You can find smart kids out there anywhere, but you want to find those students that, not just jocks, you want to find those students that have other interests, and that's what bright students have. They're interested in art and music. I mean, I remember those musicals at Southwestern College. I remember those concerts and all of that stuff, and it was a big draw to keep people there. I remember the Elijah. I know I'm going right back to ancient times, but what I saw in the time I was at Loyola or at Southwestern and at Loyola, there were very few dropouts. There just were very few dropouts. But then again, we didn't have the football team there. We didn't have women's basketball. But I just think that in this whole recruiting and retention, you're going to have something other than just the religious aspect, the academic aspect. You have to have the arts have to come into it. They just have to, if you're going to draw these types of students.
Sure. Thanks, Dean.
All right.
Don't we still have the orchestra?
So we have South Kansas Symphony and we have small ensembles. So we have these are the ways we're able to engage.
I understand what you're saying, but you see that Southwestern Kansas Symphony and the pep band and the choir, and Roxy, are you doing drama?
I'm not, but my very good friend is.
Okay, but you have to have people in those areas with charismatic personalities that go out there and draw these students in, and it takes,
I think we've money. Yeah, that's true. Well, if you, we're always accepting gifts on that note to support all of our programs at Southwestern. So that is part of my role. I'm out there raising money to help support the good work of people like Dr. Simon Hill and Dr. Jeremy Kirk and Terry McGonigal, who they're all incredible, and they have so much to bring to our campus. And so we're doing good work in that way. Lots of progress being made. I think we can be proud of how far we've come, as Liz said earlier. So I
need to. Can I add one more thing? I'm sorry. I've been sitting here thinking about it, and I just need to say it. There was no leadership program on campus when I was a student because it was a different age. And most of us, many of us, I should say, had been raised to be leaders in the first place. And I realize this generation is not that way. What I'm not sure that colleges realize is one of the absolute best places that you can pick up leadership skills is in drama.
Sure. Yeah.
And rather than have leadership with pseudo projects and events and things designed for kids, if they were encouraged, highly encouraged, to participate in theater, whether it be in front of the curtain or behind it,
yeah,
there would be so many leadership skills learned simply by doing those things.
Yeah, it's the idea of co-curricular learning.
Gotta
right?
say.
Yeah. So yeah, it happens in lots of spaces on campus. And I think that's something we have, our students are active and they want to be engaged in that way. So I think we do that really well. We've got work to do, we know, in the ways of performing arts and growing interest in those spaces. But
well, I do know, Katie, that leadership has been a block for some kids to participate in the plays. I know that for a fact. Because they don't have time, because they have to do these leadership things. And in that way, they are not meshing. Just
Roxy, just like your drama that you're talking about, it's the same thing. That the leadership skills that they develop in music is the same thing. It can't be a ragtag group. I mean, you have to bring a personality in there that's going to draw these students in there. You can have all the adjunct faculty members you want to teach them privately and all of that business. But the whole bottom line is these kids don't drop out of college.
Right. I do want to, we did have a question specifically from Kathy about just retention rate and progress made on that. Liz, can you just weigh in just really quickly?
Sure. So I think probably, Kathy, you're asking about last fall's freshman cohort. So that's what I'll answer. But for the fall 2023 freshmen, so the students who come to us, never having gone to a college before freshman year, they are currently, it's not the final number yet because we're not at that date yet. That's not till September, but they are registered at 59% right now against about 55% last year at this time. 2 and 3 years ago, we were down at 48%. So still a long way to go. I want to be clear about that, but we are moving in the right direction. And that feels really good. So still a long way to go. A lot of work in progress in all the ways, right? I think that's been, if there's nothing else, is sort of end our conversation. Like, what I want you to hear from us is that we're on the move. We're doing it. Made some progress. More progress needs to be made. Yeah. Does that feel right to people?
Yeah.
Like what you've heard today? Like that's where we are, right? I mean,
I'm sure we could have many follow-up conversations about this. Maybe we will, but
we will. Yes, we will.
We do have to depart. We've got a great candidate for the nursing program on campus, which is again exciting. So we're gonna close this call. But I want to thank everybody for joining us today, especially Stephannie, Adrienne, and President Liz for hopping on. And to all of you, please stay tuned. We will be sharing information about our July copy chat. So we'll just keep them rolling. We're going to continue to do these once a month. I think it's good information to have out there. And I encourage all of you that join the call, call up somebody that you went to Southwestern with and just let them know what you've learned and if there's a lingering question or something that is concerning to you, I hope you'll reach out to us. That is the privilege of this work, and we're all in it to make Southwestern stronger every day, and we just appreciate your support in that. So, with that, enjoy the rest of your coffee, everyone.
One thing, Katie.
Yeah, sure.
I just want to say one thing, and that is, for those of you who don't live here, so I'm looking mostly at you, Dean, because I know you're far away. Come home. Come see.
I come to Winfield quite often.
Okay.
My wife still owns land in.
Well, come to campus then, man. Come to campus. Come to campus when we have a theater production or a music concert. for people who are here, I think you would see and feel what we're doing in a way that's different. So please come home.
Elizabeth, what I'm trying to say to you is, I think you're doing some great things, but you gotta have like person like Norman Callison that was here.
Yep.
And you got to have someone like Ross Williams that was here. You got to have the people that can draw them in. That's what they did with me, and it just
Right now we're off to get a wonderful nursing faculty. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this call. But Dean, please let us please contact me if you've got more to share, and also please do come to campus. Come see us the next time you're in town. We'd love to host you. And again,
I think you all are doing a great job.
Thank you. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Yeah. Much love from campus. See you all.